Abbott simulating something of the operational height and attitude in which the aircraft will be expected to operate, because it's designed for the close support ground attack role, in particular the anti-armor task, and now he dives therefore for another simulated strafing pass. Pulling away and jinking further from the target. The clue to the machine's effectiveness in the roll being just visible beneath the lower forward nose, GA8 GAU-8A 30mm 7-barrel cannon, rotary cannon, so-called Gatling gun, which can deliver ordnance at anything up to 4,200 rounds a minute. Generally speaking, 2,400 rounds a minute is what is used. While on those wing pylons, up to 16,000 pounds of mixed ordnance can be carried, 8 of them under the wing, 3 further ones under the fuselage. Typically, a mixture might comprise 500-pound retarded bombs or 2,000-pound bombs. But specifically in the anti-armor role, the Maverick, infrared and laser-guided missile. All this, of course, in a single-seat aircraft that's quite large indeed, 57.5 feet in span. Thus, but as you can see, with its twin-mounted engines, in fact they're 2 General Electric TF34 turbofans, each of just over 9,000 pounds of thrust. Thus the engines are to a degree shielded by the wings and tail. Very important, bearing in mind the hostile environment in which this aircraft potentially would operate. A high degree of redundancy built into the control systems, for example, while the pilot himself sits in effectively titanium bathtub, as it's likened, which is proof against up to anything including a 37mm round. Now, Tom demonstrates the aircraft and the slow, illustrating too the quite long, stalky undercarriage. Operating very close indeed to the front line. Thus, along with the 4 squadrons now, with the 81st Tactical Fighter Wing at Bentwaters Woolbridge, it's a very respectable short field performance too, and I think we can imagine that Tom Abbott is about to bring his sequence to an end, demonstrating just that. This in contrast to a maximum speed of around 420, 430 miles an hour. That may seem very low, but as you can see, it allows the aircraft to very rapidly return to its target, typically working as part of a pair, seeking together to deliver ordnance on target every 20 seconds. There's that short stop, and the first of the day's courtesies being paid, showing the manoeuvrability on the runway, lights on and off, waggling the spoilers, and clearing once again. Captain Thomas Abbott from the 509 Tactical Fighter Squadron, the Pirates, out of the 10th Tactical Fighter Wing of the United States Air Force, to 11th Group of Strike Command. A look, therefore, at the McDonnell Douglas Phantom. Remaining squadrons using the aircraft, 19 and 92, as part of Royal Air Force Germany. And 56 for the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Navy. phased out by the fleet hour with the services last big documents are deployed. And in Navy MG1s, the former Navy machines were transferred to the Royal Air Force to join their MGR2 counterparts, the RAF taking 118 examples, the first of them flying in February 1977. British services machines. They are to a very large degree British built, not least of which as far as the power plant's concerned. Two Rolls-Royce Spade, very two turbo, 40,000 pounds of thrust dry in reheat. For example, a maximum speed of Mach 2.1, just under 1,400 miles an hour at 40,000 feet. Accomplished in just 25 seconds. Now let's see that high-speed end of the envelope. The Phantom living up to its name, the moisture in the air ghosting around the aircraft, as Flight Lieutenant Steve Howard and Nigel Mark. Rowing then, our first, indeed, preliminary glimpse of the Patrie de France. The second element, rolling now, of the Patrie de France. Sequences flying with a passenger and yet still paying fourth. Because that's a very unusual thing about this aircraft. It's a two-seater. Up on the vertical, watch the speed. Drop away once again. And the torque roll. A tail slide, but this time, no, it begins, but doesn't fully develop. The torque of the engine rolling the aircraft around the vertical axis. A very eerie feeling from within, going back down, rolling through your own smoke. From there, he again pushes up the outside. Around the top of this half loop. Down the 45-degree line, rolling as he comes. Picking up speed to around 250 miles an hour. Rate of rolling factor in this aircraft is just over 360 degrees a second. Lest you wonder about the smoke. It's generated in just the same way as, for example, by the patrie, we shall see in just a little, through the injection of diesel oil into the exhaust of the engine. It naturally produces a white effect. Dyes can be added to produce colour. Richard, in fact, is a management consultant based in London. He's not flying. Here is a final closer look on the night and all the way around. To produce an inverted wing lock. Five squadron. However, it is not in that guise that we welcome the aircraft. We welcome it instead as very shortly the jump platform for the Royal Air Force Free Fall Parachute Display Team, the Vulcan, which is here to celebrate its anniversary. One that had its beginnings here at RAF Abingdon, so is an especially welcome participant in today's programme. 530 knots, down at 100 feet, the Buccaneer S2B. Contrast at the slow. Undercarriage and hook down, used therefore on the Royal Navy's carriers alongside the Phantom and Sea Vixen. But then in 1979, with the withdrawal of the last of the big carriers, as before the Ark Royal, extremely smooth flying characteristics at low level, its primary weapon, the Sea Eagle anti-shipping missile. Weapons bay open. The rotary door to the weapons bay was another innovative feature of this aircraft, designed to cut drag. It could also be used for a photo reconnaissance fit, or indeed as here, for a long-range fuel tank. This pair of Sea Eagles, however, would be carried beneath the wings. 12 Squadron. You'll see the paint spike laser designator on that machine. Group of RAF Strike Command. knots.
Budget since 1981. But now from in front of you, here come the Patrouille de France in a super balance position. They execute the loop with a change into diamond position. The smoke effect, sometimes white, sometimes tricolored, has been much through about in order to make the air show more dynamic and to improve its quality. You will notice, as you can see, it's written under every plane, the Patrouille de France is a French Air Force unit. Now a pass from your left in front of you in canal formation. Now another wing over to the right to carry out a roll in this formation. After this roll in T formation, now into arrow. They are now into arrow formation, followed by a loop and a wing over left with a change in flight formation. Now they change in string formation. Now they come for your left and change in front of you in a cross formation, which is another new shape of this year of the Patrouille de France. They are now in cross formation. Four changes during the same maneuver, just to show you the skill of the leader and the other member of the team. Inverter flight, the wingman, then the slot. The plane which permanently fly in line astern to the leader, and finally the solos. 5 planes out of 8 are flying. In this position, pilots are subject to negative G's and yet must maintain with their head upside down formation with the other planes, which pays homage to this beautiful plane, the commercial supersonic Avro of the Anglo-French aeronautical industries. Now a roll in front of you in Concorde formation. A pass and Concorde formation. For every pass, the Patrouille de France include a formation change which increase their workload. Work achieved before you, coming for your left, and a change into a big arrow. Now a careful loop in a big arrow, and after this loop in big arrow, wing over left into diamond. And now the leader prepares the first split. The first split which allows the two solos, Captain Didier Bosser and Patrick Louis, in few seconds. The first split. The solos, the leaders are coming across and invert the aircraft. front of you now, the two solos are carried out a simultaneous roll and a crossover. And coming back to the left, you see. Now coming from your left. Smooth off. And it's now a simultaneous roll. The rain smoke stops. Handle number 2. Inverts. There is no changing in the half roll and turn to inverted flight, then revert to normal flight. That's what we call the flip-flap. The solo lead is inverted now, and they fly quarter roll and brakes. We call these maneuvers anti-brace. They have their landing gears down, and to complicate the figure, the crossing is made upside down. Notice the grace of this maneuver, and immediately they start a loop, and the left clover lift, and a pass in front of you. Now, a pass from your right, in front of you. Now the solos come back from the two solos are coming back flying inverted barrel roll. Difficult figures to close to the ground. Here again, the negative G is very high. From the left, in front of you. Please accept the salute of the Patrouille de France, which is with his final bomb burst. During the show, pilot have been submitted to acceleration from plus 7G to minus 4Gs for the solos.
It is a reminder of how many nations flew with Royal Air Force Fighter Command. Not least of which, the Free French. Ground is about to get underway with the Royal Air Force Police Dog demonstration team. If you're not too sure of the whereabouts of the arena, it's out. A rolling run and brake indeed. This afternoon. 1440 in fact is the last of the items on the programme, but the first of them in so many ways. The key one, the Royal Air Force contribution, formal Royal Air Force contribution to the arena display programme. Now, the Lucas, Wattisham, and representing Royal Air Force Germany, RAF Abingdon 19 and 92 squadrons. Then the air defence element, now the strike, led by 16 Tornado GR1s from Royal Air Force Germany. Wittering, RNAS Yeovilton, Honington and Coltishall represented in that formation. Now, formation number 3, the Red Arrows. It's a machine that wears the markings of 17 Squadron. Southeast Asia Command with the red removed from the roundels and pin flash to try and avoid. Before production ceased in October 1947, 10 years after it began. Says much for the basic design by Reginald Mitchell, carried on of course by Joe Smith, that during the period engine power increased by 100%, weight by 40%, maximum speed by 35%, the rate of climb by 80%. It meant therefore that the Mark I's maximum speed was 365 miles an hour into the salvation of our country. While then, Spitfire was to serve in every theatre of war and in so many actions. This is of course particularly in the context of the Battle of Britain that it is remembered. And thus, this interlude in the key Royal Air Force salute on this very special day, September the 15th, recognised as Battle of Britain today, and fortuitously falling 50 years on a Saturday, allowing us to DC-10s. First interview, C1 in the middle, tankers to either side, Tornado GR1s flanking them in turn. Behind, the 4 Hercules, 2 Nimrods, the 4 Buccaneers, last but by no means least, 4 Canberras, and the 2 1-2 Farlands. alignment with Nahr. Lancaster joined by Spitfire and Hurricane. By the Seven Guilders and the Iron Men, a display of Morris dancing, lest you wonder. While different British services in the techniques by Abingdon's personnel. Now we'll wait for the Jaguars to land. Yeah. Unit at Royal Air Force Brawdy in Wales, in fact in the markings of 234 Squadron, which alongside 79 Squadron are the two shadow identities of the aircraft of number 1 TWU. There's a second Tactical Weapons Unit, that's at Chivernham, on Static Park in the markings of 63 Squadron is wearing a special 50th anniversary of Chivernham as well, colour scheme. The 151 Squadron machine has a matching blue fin, picking up a colour in there. And enthusiasts like you might like to know that colour scheme will only be worn until next month, so if you haven't got your photos yet of the aircraft down there alongside the old control tower indeed, TWUs, and the arts of air combat, air-to-air and air-to-ground weapon delivery and tactical low-flying torch. Pilots having gained their wings at Valley before progressing to Brawdy or Chivernham. After 4 months at one of the technical weapons units, it's then on to an operational conversion unit to become acquainted with the Harrier, the Jaguar, the Tornado, Buccaneer, and more, of course, that will be flown on squadron posting. And that weapons carrying ability is carried still further in terms of the 100 200 series orbital designs. Developing the aircraft as indeed a single-seat multi-role fighter class. Such export customers as Finland, Indonesia, and indeed, as you've been seeing on your television news from time to time, I don't doubt, in the last week or so, Oman and Saudi Arabia. Most significant of all, perhaps, of the 328 as the T-45A Goshawk, the next jet trainer. Flight Lieutenant John Carter completing his sequence with a rolling vertical, underlining still further indeed the agility of this, the most manoeuvrable aircraft in Royal Air Force service. A final run break from Flight Lieutenant John Carter from 234 Squadron. The next item on the programme, recalling rather more recent Royal Air Force history, the Avro Vulcan V2. Flight Lieutenant Paul captain of the crew on 5 this afternoon. Aircraft that first came into operational service in July of 1957 in B-1 form as the second of the V-bombers to join the Royal Air Force. First, the Vickers Valiant, the third, the Handley Page Victor. The task of the V-bomber force being the carriage of Britain's nuclear deterrent. This particular machine was the first, however, of the developed B2 variant to enter service. Wing of increased span, it's 111 feet in fact in this machine. A wing in fact that is some 7 feet thick at its root. B2 having a greater bomb load, capable of being carried faster, higher, and with in-flight refueling capability even further than before. And as with the B1, so 83 Squadron again was the first to receive the B2, that in July of 1960. Type's effectiveness was to be still more extended by the carriage of the standoff bomb. The Douglas Skybolt was to be the first. That weapon was to be cancelled, so taking its place was the Avro Blue Steel, the first operational Vulcan unit being 617 Squadron, so equipping in February of 1963. Skybolts would have been carried beneath the wing. The Blue Steel was carried in the bomb bay there, just closing on that last pass. Otherwise, within that weapon bay. Weapons, maximum load being 21,000 pounds. The task of being responsible for the nuclear deterrent passed, however, in July 1969 to the Royal Navy's Polaris-equipped nuclear submarines, so to the Vulcan, when the role of low-level penetration using free-fall weapons. Having outlasted the Valiant and the Victor in the bomber role, it was finally to be in 1982 that the Vulcan was to be replaced in the bomber role. In the year of its 30th anniversary. However, of course, that intended history was to be changed when the Falklands War began. And so the three so-called Black Buck missions flown from Ascension Island to the Falklands and back would become the operational career of the Vulcan 5 forwards. Continue to be a familiar sight. The sight that we've just been offered is one for which we have to thank, not overlooking indeed, Flight Lieutenant Simon Chamberlain, Flight Lieutenant Darren Legg, he from the Low-Level and Air Defence Training Squadron at RAF Finningley, completing his sequence on the BAC Jet Provost T5A, just to the Jet Provost replacement in the programme, replacement in the sky as it were, but indeed the Royal Air Forces indicative of a value in the tactical airlift role, in which it serves with an extremely wide number of large number of air forces around the world. Great pitch. Bring the aircraft to a short stop. You'll be able to see the rear loading door very rapidly down from the aircraft. Out jump the loadmasters, down go the ramps further. Out come 1, 2 Land Rovers. They're very rapidly into action. Jim demonstrates still further that ability of the this might look just like a party trick, but consider, when landing on a very short strip, you want to use every available foot. And here, the means of getting back to the beginning, and as you're about to see, with a matching short takeoff, starting all over again. Of the Second World War, the de Havilland Mosquito. It could show a level speed of nearly 400 miles an hour and demonstrate upward rolls with one propeller feathered. Paris on the 20th of September 1941, and although it was chased by 3 Messerschmitt Bf-109s, it left them behind at 23,000 feet. The bomber version was next into service, that in November 1941. Low-level precision was the hallmark of such operations, 65.4 tons of bombs. Mosquitoes took 39.8 tons of bombs to account for each V1 site they destroyed. A high degree of versatility demonstrated by it being in service in 2 very distinct roles, the first of which was the bomber variant of the Tornado was first into Royal Air Force service. This is the version that was developed specifically for the RAF in the air defense category. Took the first examples of this, the F3, in 1986. 2 years earlier, they'd taken the interim F2s, and again, the operational conversion unit's task is to acquaint pilots and navigators with the aircraft they'll fly. Is something like 80% in common with the GR1, but in fact it's 4.5 feet longer. That to accommodate the Fox Hunter air-to-air radar. It also gives it increased tankage to further its endurance. In fact, betters its fineness ratio and so its acceleration. While at the same time its weapon system reflects the role. Thus, up to 4 Skyflash radar-guided air-to-air missiles and 4 AIM-9L Sidewinder infrared air-to-air missiles. Flying in force this afternoon is Squadron Leader Fred Grundy and his Navigator Flight Lieutenant Martin Parker. This in fact being one of the last few displays now, at the end of Fred Grundy's 3 years displaying this aircraft. In other words, around 1,300 miles an hour, and you saw about 600 miles an hour worth of it on that final pass from the Tornado F3. And his wingman. Coming from Operational Conversion Unit at RAF Woodring, although they come via RAF staff where they just ended their part of the program there.
Now, I would draw your attention to the large lift spoilers that suddenly pop up on top of the wings, which kill all the lift and keep the aeroplane firmly on the ground. There we go, and now you can see them popping up. With the full flap setting, the Fowler flaps cover about 78% of the wingspan. An incredibly short distance, I'm sure you'll agree.
This example of the Dassault Breguet Mirage 2000B. B form for air defence and conventional ground attack. Being paralleled in service by the 2000C, the equivalent single-seater. M53 turbofan. Just under. Offering in the high alpha stakes. The Mirage 2000 exponents call an internal barrel roll addressed away from us. There's so much energy. But there he takes it into a minimum radius, 3/4 turn, around 8G. Examples of the design, one Bouvier and aircraft coming from the second fighter wing. That at Dijon, there with a slightly modified finale by virtue of that low cloud, nonetheless about as fast a rolling rate as you'll see by this category of aircraft at any time during the course of this afternoon's display. Demonstrates something of its air-to-air refueling role by having some tornadoes for company, but they are being preoccupied elsewhere. I'm sure you read the newspapers. Nonetheless, a look at, from 216 Squadron, the Lockheed Chrysler. One of the partners in Plain Sailing Air Displays Limited who privately operate this PBY-5A include their contribution. While in its wake, after all I have to stay with matters maritime, comes a successor in Royal Air Force service in the anti-submarine and maritime reconnaissance role. We see it in the markings of 8th Squadron, thus is AEW2, fulfilling the airborne early warning role. This is greatest contribution, with the emphasis therefore on air defence, still fulfilling very important role. Here's the aircraft that replaced it in the maritime reconnaissance role, the Nimrod. Navigator and 3 air electronic operators. A crew captained by Flight Lieutenant Mark Seymour. Martels, harpoon, and sidewinders for air defence beneath the wings without. Again, that role was to go to the century. Last pass by the Spitfire. Where's the markings of 41 Squadron? In fact, those worn by Squadron Leader George Benyon's DFC. It was shot down on the 1st of October 1940. Must have been very badly burned by Sir Archibald Mackindoe. Just one case amongst the 647 airmen so treated during the course of the war. 647 airmen who became the members of the Guinea Pig Club, many of whose members we welcome here today. In the Spitfire's wake comes the Hurricane 2C, one of the used to describe Bomber Command's operations. Relentless routine. The code letters are Papa Mike Squared, worn by an aircraft which served with both 103 and 576 squadrons. Completed 140 operational sorties, a Bomber Command record. Squadron Leader Colin Patterson heads the crew, as indeed he is the officer commanding the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight at Coningsby. The rest of his crew, Fighter Wing at RAF Abingdon in Suffolk, and the 20th Tactical Fighter Wing at Untitled in Oxfordshire. From there, this machine comes. Attack and tactical reconnaissance. The emphasis on close support for the front line is the role of the Harrier. And indeed, of course, like no other aircraft in the world, turn to its base, refuel, rearm. Be back over the front line, cutting down its transit time, upping therefore the sortie rate. The GR5 marks a considerable increase in describes that particular manoeuvre as. That might look like a party trick, but it translates. appeared in its original aria form, the Tornado GR1. Training establishment at Cottesmore, introducing them to the method of operation, indeed the weapons used by the Royal Air Force strike squadrons operating this aircraft. As with the earlier F3 display, an opening to the sequence qualified weapons instructor, as indeed is here running. They help to contribute to the 5,000 or so sorties that are flown by the TWICU, as it's colloquially known. Each year, that means something like 6,400 flying hours. Each day, therefore, during the summer, means something like 35 sorties by day and night coming out of Honington, each Tornado flying about twice a day. Typically, the offensive weapon load of the Tornado could be up to 12 1,000-pound conventional bombs on twin stall carriers beneath the centre fuselage. A dozen of millimetre Mauser cannon. The F3 has just one of those, but two in the GR1. And a pair of A9L Sidewinder missiles that can be carried for self-defence in the air-to-air role. However, you see another part of the defensive system of the aircraft, the two pods carried beneath the wings. They're part of the aircraft's electronic countermeasures. This particular aircraft is only giving two displays in this country this year. The first was this afternoon, training and evaluation centre. A display sequence, a display manoeuvre best undertaken a long time after lunch. Well demonstrating the not so slow speed capability, control capability of the aircraft. Lines of thrust. Maximum speed like this, Mach 0.82. Around 567 miles an hour, slow speed tire. basic Alpha jets have been sold. Further production unlikely in basic form. Specifically from the base at St. Truden of the Training and Evaluation Centre with the Desso Brigade Dornier Alpha jet. In the Battle of Britain. A contribution this time from 409 Squadron, part of the 1st Canadian Air Group, based at Baden-Sollingen in Germany. 409 are known as the Nighthawks, the two companion squadrons are 439, the Tigers, and 421, the Indians. Square-cornered looping manoeuvres. This Citadel aircraft was designed as a single-seat shipboard and shore-based, multi-role fighter and aircraft. Spain, along with Kuwait, are the other overseas customers. Slow roll. But the biggest user of the type is the United States, with 1,150, being the combined total taken by the United States Navy and Marine Corps. these days, in spite of its Northrop origins. The McDonnell Douglas, and there's a very high G recovery. 18A is the US Navy and Marine Corps designation. Well, at least the engineers formally refer to it as the CF-188. That's what it is in the designation system, but of course, colloquially, it's Captain Mal McNair of 409 Squadron from the 1st Canadian Air Group at Baden-Sollingen in West Germany, landing back on the CF-18. GR1A, at which we look. RAF Coltishall in Norfolk. Where 6 and 4 is the aircraft beneath close support role, while that is shared. Sidewinder missiles can be carried on rather unusual overwing mountings for self-defense. External stations can be equipped to carry up to 10,000 pounds of mixed ordnance, cluster bomb units, 500 pound, 1,000 pound bombs, or rockets, for example. Anti-FIN 1064 inertial navigation system has been retrospectively fitted relatively unprepared surfaces or potentially bomb-damaged runways too. Students arrive for training on the OCU with around 300 hours of flying experience, gained of course mainly on the jet provost or increasingly the Tucano and the Hawk. Their introduction to the Jaguar takes around 5 months, means another 80 hours of flying. Well, their braking parachute brings to a shorter stop. Display by Squadron Leader Tom Mallory, 226 Operational Conversion Unit on the Seppicat Jaguar GR1A. But now, for the next item on the programme, I hand you over to Lieutenant Rob Googers.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last show this
End of the flying programme now, and in particular the finale, but let's talk of the penultimate aircraft first, the Avro Vulcan V2. Air Force during the Suez Crisis of 1956. The United Nations operation in Korea 40 years ago. layout to have a little trademark in the
Scheduled program time earlier in the day.
but at least to make sure that